All right, what's up, dnow leaders? I'm recording a video for you to give you an idea of what I expect from the curriculum. The reason I chose to do this is we're not going to get a whole lot of time to meet before everything gets started. So I thought, man, how helpful would it be for, a few days in advance to send you a video letting you know what I expect and all those good things. First of all, I want to thank you for being one of my leaders. This is going to be our very first dnow since I've been the youth minister. And it's going to kickstart our entire discipleship going into the spring. So it's really important that you're there. You've been asked to come, and a lot of you are traveling from really far away because you are who I trust. You are who I need to be here. And just know that it means a lot to me that you're going to come January 31st and February 2nd to spend time with us and disciple our kids. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through just a little bit of stuff that I want to show you, giving you an idea when you're teaching your lessons, and walk you through this email that you received. I don't know if you can see it. It's the Chosen Study. This is actually something I wrote about a year and a half ago for a camp, and we were running up close to Disciple Now, and I thought, man, why don't we use this? And then Zach Randalls, who was the youth pastor before me, we kind of planned to call the weekend, I Have Been Marked. So it's kind of like Chosen, but to make it sound cooler, we picked Marked. So this is the shirt you're going to be getting. Very, very pretty. Sorry, messed up with the camera here. What in the world is wrong with me? Oh, okay, there we go. Everything's backwards. So it says, I have been marked, and then on the back, Victory Life, 1 Peter 2:9. So be excited. You will have to pay about $20 for this shirt when you get here. I'm just kidding. So that's the shirt you're going to get. If you can get here by 4:30, that would be awesome. I know a lot of you that's really hard, but if you can, because we are going to meet together and discuss some things, but the weekend's actually going to start at 6 p.m. as the students arrive, and we're going to get into our very, very first worship session at 6:45. So the closer you can be here to 4:30, the better. That way we can have a game plan and discuss some things, but I also know how difficult it is to travel. All right, so if you do have time, can you pull out your study, which is this Chosen Study that I sent you in the email. I'm going to send this video to you with the attachment so you can also pull that up. And if you look through this study, you'll see in the very back there are these things that say, sorry, I'm really awkward on camera. I can't help it. There's these little things that say like quiet time in the back. Like the one I have is discipleship, quiet time 3. If you want, you can take these 4 little pieces of paper, discipleship 1 through 4, and literally just put them out of this stack. You do not have to teach these things. Really what these were for the camp that I used, but I had it in a PDF file and I couldn't separate the two. But if you want to keep them and use them as a quiet time, I think that's awesome. But the lessons that you are going to be teaching, and by teach, I really just mean leading. I'm not asking you to come in here and sit down with the kids and everybody be quiet and listen to you teach. In fact, really what I want is for the kids to be talking. But I do not want to just leave you with nothing to get the kids to do that. A lot of you understand if you let a small group, it's really difficult to get the kids talking sometimes. So you'll need some ammo to use that maybe can start your group down a trail. Just so you know, I'm really, really excited about the curriculum, obviously because I wrote it, but I'm not asking you to come here and just put these kids through this long, rigorous lesson. If you start talking and you see the Holy Spirit moving and you see that the kids are wanting to bring up some stuff that they really need to talk about, feel free to do that. There's going to be about 3 or 4 of you leading each group anyway. And it's just important that we facilitate the discussion between the kids. Not saying that the kids can just talk about whatever they want, but the kids are going to be taught throughout the day by Tiny Dominguez and Led in Worship with Bim. If they're ready to talk and they're ready to deal with some stuff they need to, please let them. But also, like I said, I want to give you some ammo with some stuff to use. So the verse for the week is going to be 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. And it says, but you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, so that you may proclaim the excellencies of Him who has called you out of the darkness into His marvelous light. So that's the verse throughout the whole week. If the kids start on Friday with that verse, I would really love it if they could have that memorized by Sunday. What we're going to do is, if you've already read through the lessons, we're breaking apart. Like we're going to start with, remember that you're a chosen race. Now that sounds ultra Calvinistic, like you are chosen by God. But in reality, what we're trying to help the kids understand is that everybody's chosen by God to know Him. No one goes without getting to know Jesus Christ. So if you look at the way I broke down these lessons, so if you'll pull out lesson 1, it says, remember that you're a chosen race. So what I did was this first page and a half is not for you to teach the kids through. This is for your preparation to give you an idea of what the passages mean and what they're saying. For example, it starts off and it says biblical passages for this lesson. 1 Peter 2:9. That is always going to be the first thing that I want you to read with the kids because we want them to know that verse by the end of the week. But then we're also going to go through Deuteronomy chapter 7 and discussing Israel and where they're at. And I'm not going to go through each of these lessons. I just want to give you an idea of what this looks like. There's always a biblical truth that I hope that the kids can understand by the end of the lesson. Like it says, anyone that claims Jesus as their Lord is chosen by God to be in His kingdom. Very, very simple, but many youth just have so much trouble understanding that. And as you read, there's some learning goals that we can have for these kids and prayer suggestions. And then I have a biblical commentary that I included. So when you're going through these scriptures, you can actually kind of have a clue what it means, just in case the kids ask. But I'm not asking you to lead the kids through the biblical commentary. Really where it starts is with these questions. Deeper discussion. Okay, that's where I want you to start because we want to ask kids questions. We want to get them talking. For some of these kids, they've never opened their Bibles and they've been in church their entire life. Some of them have, and that's awesome. But what we want to do is get these kids discussing. So, it starts off, have you ever participated in a game that required you to be chosen out of a group of people? We want to give the kids the idea of what it means to be chosen, even though what our shirts say is marked. So if you want to change it to marked, that's fine, but we're just putting that together. I think marked sounds a lot cooler than chosen, But anyway, you go through all these questions, and there's some things to get the kids talking. Don't be afraid to make it awkward. If the kids are just looking at you with stone-faced, don't feel so frantic that you got to get them talking or that you need to talk in place of them. Get them talking. It's going to be okay. All right? So, and then it has the introduction to the lesson. And what I do is it starts off with a description, an illustration, and then an application. So through each point, there's a description of what it means, an illustration that might get the kids talking. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It just depends on the personality of the kid. And then an application. Like, for example, in point 1 through Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6, it says, if you were in the family of God, you were chosen as God's possession. So I give a short description of what that means, and then we use the illustration from the movie Fireproof. And as you read through it, you may look at this and go, Jake, you're completely stupid. Like, this is not going to work with these kids. I'm teaching 6th grade girls. What in the world do they care about Fireproof? Feel free to move in, put something else in between that. Will not offend me at all. But I love the description, illustration, application. It kind of keeps things in a fluid motion. And like I said, you may start this and only get through point 1. That's okay. I do not expect you to go through this and hit the kids over the head with every point and every bit of the text that's going through that. And then at the very end, it says final discussion. And those are just some more questions that you can take the kids through. And we want to get the kids talking. I mean, that is the ultimate goal. We want them talking. We want them thinking. So then you're going to teach that lesson on Friday night at 8:15 p.m., okay, on the campus of our church. Okay, I'm going to send you a schedule of the weekend to give you an idea, but just think through that. At 8:45 p.m., when you're teaching these lessons, think about the time. Think about what the kids have already done, what they've learned, and you can apply that to the lesson. So then the next morning, we're going to teach another small group lesson at 9:30 a.m. So when you're putting your kids to bed on Friday, I'm not saying be a Nazi, but man, it might be good for them to go to sleep because the next day they're going to be doing a small group, and we don't want kids sleeping on the couch while you're trying to lead them, okay? So do whatever you think you need to do. So we started off that you're a chosen generation. Lesson 2 is remember that you're from a royal priesthood. Now, I don't know about you, but it might be kind of difficult to explain to a 7th grade boy that they're in a royal priesthood. So what you're going to have to do is look through these lessons and kind of have a plan before it starts of how you're going to apply that to whatever group you're given, okay? So it's got the same thing. It's got learning goals, prayer suggestions, biblical commentary of each of the lessons, And then it goes through just like before. It starts with deeper discussion, with questions, and then you're going to give descriptions and illustrations, okay? So you're going to go through these lessons. You'll teach that in the morning on Saturday, and as soon as that's over, we're going to head back to the church for a general session with Tiny Dominguez, all right? We're going to have lunch at the church, and then we're going to do a really fun thing called a YouTube video challenge, all right? Lots of these kids are going to bring their phones. Lots of them are going to be able to video. We're going to want a video, and it doesn't have to have any kind of theme to it. It can be whatever these students want it to be, and we're going to make hilarious YouTube videos. So if the kids want to record with their device and we can put them all together, bring them up to the church, and we can splice it all together, that's awesome. I'll explain that more to you when you get here, but just know that you're going to spend a lot of your afternoon on these videos. And then at 4:30 p.m. we'll have our third small group lesson. Okay, and as you saw in your text, you only get 3 lessons. All right, so it's the exact same kind of style as, lesson 1 and 2, going through it, asking questions, application, description, illustration. And then after you get done with that, we're going to have dinner at Victory Life and go into our final session on Saturday night with Tiny Dominguez. So the 4th small group session, I have not given you anything, and here's why. I don't want anything to be taught. These kids are going to be exhausted. What we need to do is get them to start opening up about stuff they need to open up about. Maybe they need to reveal something to a friend. Maybe they need to work on something. You know how it is if you've been to a Disciple Now. We're going to be praying that these kids will be opening up about what God has said to them. And if you could kind of give me an idea of what happens in your small groups, because when you leave, we're going to be hoping that these kids are going to want to share the things God has done in their life and share the things that God's done in their life since Disciple Now. We don't want this just to be a weekend high. We want this to be something that God can kickstart in their life and get them growing. Okay, so I just wanted to give you an idea of what we're looking at in our small groups. I know I might have not made a whole lot of sense because kind of creeps me out being videoed and all that good stuff. But I just wanted you to come prepared. I didn't want to just sit down with you for 30 minutes on Friday, try to explain all this to you, and then you just try to figure it all out. We want to come prepared. Please read through the lesson. I'm not asking you to know it word for word, but could you please just take some time this next week and the week leading up to Disciple Now and just pray. I'm going to do my best to get maybe some kids' names to you. A lot of kids wait until the last day to sign up, but I want you to have an idea of what's going on. So be looking in your email boxes. I'm sending you who you're going to be with, what their phone numbers are, so maybe you can call your leaders already. There's a reason why I've given you so many leaders in one group. It's because I don't want you to feel like you're teaching the whole time. I want you to have opportunities to just sit and observe the kids, maybe pray for the kids. If the groups are too big, break them apart. I want you to have freedom. I don't want this to be a burden of a weekend for you. I've asked you to come here and be with our kids because I know that God's used you in the past for lots of things. So I'm going to be praying for you. I'm going to be praying for your safety. And please just be excited about what God's going to do January 31st to February 2nd. If you cannot be here by 4:30, please send me a message and let me know if you can or can't. I love all of you. And thank you so much for being a part of this weekend. Personally, it means the world to me that you'll drive all the way to Lubbock, Texas to come here. I love you.